the 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old.
There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly.
Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers. For the lineage of teachers before them, I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra, found on page 4. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Practicing deep Prajna Paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, have no wisdom and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by Prajna Paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajna Paramita, attaining Anuttara Samyama forth in perfect harmony, we offer this sincere devoted practice for the many beings of the sixth world, and dedicated and grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the Great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Quinn, Chris, Laverne, Madonna, Jerry, Dr. Scott, Stephen, John, Lucille, Jack, Roger, Darcy, Soke, Corin, Evan, and Sarah. May they have peace and healing, as well as Janet and Lindsay at the time of their death. May we live in perfect peace and Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. Dharma school teachers and students, please proceed to the ancestor hall. Everyone else, please prepare for zazen. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant found on page 8.
We, the Daishin Roshi Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connections to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others.
Please be seated for today's talk. Sit comfortably so you can make eye contact with the teacher. And in a moment, we'll recite the Gatan opening the sutra, also found on page 8. Gatan opening the sutra.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here. We've just finished an intensive retreat in our tradition called Sesshin, which means gathering the heart-mind. And it's always a topic of the most intimate relevance, no matter whether it's a season of calm and prosperity or a season of uncertainty and confusion, or blatant turmoil. Wherever we happen to find ourselves, whatever the situation seems to be, it's always a good time to practice the Dharma. So thank you to all those who made the efforts to gather and practice together, not only for yourselves, but for the wider Sangha and for the wider world. It's always a feature of a certain kind of spiritual intelligence. I won't say the only kind, but there's a certain kind of spiritual intelligence which understands the deep necessity to come into stillness and into silence. The mystic, the contemplative, the artist, the true practitioner of the great way inevitably finds a way in to silence and to stillness. And this entryway has been passed down for some 2,600 years. The forms may vary a touch here and there, but for the entire time, a recognizable practice of earnest engaging into the deepest questions of our experience. Now, along with the primacy of experience and sitting, there's some teachings and some guidance that comes along with the package, hopefully. Amongst the most seminal of these is called the Lankavatara Sutra, and it's that sutra which we take up together today. I read now from a chapter discussing the stages of bodhisattva practice. Listen. Upon entering the 8th stage, with the turning about at the deepest seat of consciousness, the bodhisattva will become conscious that they have received a second kind of transcendental body. This transition from mortal body to transcendental body has nothing to do with mortal death, for the old body continues to function, and the old mind continues to serve the needs of the old body. But now, it is free from the control of the mortal mind. There has been an inconceivable transformation, indeed, a kind of death, by which the false imagination of their particularized individual personality has been transcended by a realization of their oneness with the universal mind of Tathagatahood, from which realization there will be no further recession. With that realization, they find themselves endowed with all the Tathagata's powers, psychic faculties, and self-mastery. And just as the good earth is the support of all beings in the world of desire, so the Tathagatas become the support of all beings in the transcendental world. So, some pretty esoteric and exotic sounding stuff. But like all things, once you learn the language and once you have a taste for yourself, you realize it's actually quite intimate. It's anything but spooky and otherworldly. So let's see if we can decode and unpack a little bit of this. So, entering this stage, first thing to understand, there are stages. It's true. We would all like to forego the preliminaries. We should all like to just go right to the end of the game and win, but it doesn't work that way. Not for any of us. Regardless of what other experiences we have or hadn't had, the training in the Dharma is its own quality. There are certain aspects to the self which simply will not blossom and thrive outside the appropriate causes and conditions for that thriving to occur. Much the same way a seed might be beautifully intact and wholesome, but absent the correct environment with the correct nourishment and situation, the seed will lie dormant. You can find a seed from thousands of years ago in the tomb of so-and-so, and then lo and behold, perhaps you give it water and sunlight and tender earth, and there rises anew a plant which humanity hasn't seen for 1,000 years plus. Your true nature is very much like this. It's absolutely there. Whether it's realized or not is a different matter. But the truth of yourself is exactly as it is. So, Upon this 8th stage of development, the turning about in the deepest seat of consciousness, the Buddha continuously says, look, dear one, the answer isn't in shuffling the deck so you win every hand. It's not about getting the world to go your way at all times and all things. If it happens to go your way for a while, enjoy, but don't cling. If it happens to turn against you, practice well and don't be surprised. Rather, pay attention to yourself, to your mind, the mind that is aware of this churn and this coming and this going, this winning and this losing. Who, after all, is at the helm of this experience, if anyone? So, the 8th stage, this turning about at the deepest stage of consciousness. This is not a myth or a fairy tale or a metaphor of some other thing. It's exactly what it is. There is an awakening experience. There is Kensho, there is Satori, there is seeing into the nature of the self, and this is what the sutra is pointing to, unambiguously so. The Bodhisattva, one who has dedicated their lives to the alleviation of suffering for all beings throughout space and time, become conscious that they have received a second kind of transcendental body. Ooh. Dude, I can see it. Notice a refinement in the language. It doesn't say that the Bodhisattva then gets a new body. It says they become conscious of, which is a much more accurate description. And if the word transcendental body, I don't know, it's a bit problematic of a term. I think it serves its purpose well enough. But mind you, this author, well, this scripture was written, 2nd, 3rd, 4th century, somewhere like that at the latest. Translated here by Mr. Goddard in the 30s. There's some water under the bridge in language. The pronouns are regrettable, etc. But here, this transcendental, it simply means true. You have one at a certain stage. You begin to realize your true body. Your true body, your true self. You become conscious of this true self. It's always been there. It's always been there. Nothing new is added. Nothing strange comes and hijacks your mind or anything. But it's simply realizing what's actually always been with you. It's rather like a person engaged in a deep dream and forgets all about the fact that they're actually cozy in bed. And they live this dream life with its terrors and tantalizing hopes. And the whole drama comes and goes, and you forget. And then you wake up and realize, oh, my cozy bed, my cozy hug pillow, my pug, right? Oh, all is well, It's something like this. It was true the whole way along, and yet for you, it wasn't real. It was true. It wasn't real. Not real for you in the sense of your experience. In the dream, you're chased by a tiger, and for you, in that particular moment of mind, that is a reality for you. It's not true, however. You're actually not being chased by a tiger. You're actually cozy. But the truth and the reality aligning, this is what the practice is for, you see. So they become aware that they have this true body, the Buddha body, right? The transcendental, sure, we'll go for it. What is this consciousness? What is this body? Well, the sutra points out, mind you now, this transition from the mortal body to the transcendent body, from the mundane, everyday sense of self to the truly awakened sense of self, which is what we're talking about here, has nothing to do with mortal death. It's a kind of a death, but it's, look, the body still goes on for a while anyway. The mundane body still needs nourishment and rest and needs Band-Aids upon occasion. creams and Band-Aids. So the old mind, the mortal mind, continues to function in this way, and this is very important. Right? The enlightened, awakened masters in the Zen tradition do not turn into beams of light and hover above everyone, sprinkling fairy dust or not, depending on how they like you or don't. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The great enlightened ones of the entire lineage need Band-Aids on occasion. Sit in seats, brush teeth, very much similar to yours. And it stays that way, okay? Sometimes we think, oh, you know, I can't even have a toehold in this awakening business because after all, look at this, you know. No, dear one, this is miraculous, beautiful, noble, and gassy and smelly and a bit bloated. You know, those things don't conflict with each other. So, aware of this transcendental body, the transition here, this death has nothing to do with a mortal death, for the old body continues to function and the old mind continues to serve the needs of that body. I'm hungry. It smells good. What do we got cooking there, Tenzo? Oh, I'm tired. I think I need a little rest. But now, this true body, this so-called transcendental body, this Buddha body, the universal body, is no longer under the control of the small mind. You see, the small mind deals with matters of digestion and respiration and circulatory systems functioning and language and what's for lunch. That's fine. But that aspect of our mind is completely out of its league when it controls the true body, the true self. If your true, big, beautiful, universal God, Buddha, whatever self is under the control of this tiny, small, oh, I don't know, shall we call it ego? Yes, we shall call it ego. Let's go ahead. Ego. When this small ego is actually the one driving things, then this true human body is a little bit thwarted. Perhaps a lot thwarted. It's still there. It's still perfect. It's still complete. It lacks nothing. And yet, it lies unrealized, unlived. Yet another year passes with no bloom from this dried out seed. That is every bit a beautiful tree capable of deep roots and far-reaching branches that nourish the many beings for hundreds of years. But not yet, still just a seed. So now, this true body, this true mind is no longer under the control and the sway of this small egoic mind. There's nothing wrong with the small ego mind. It just needs to kind of stay in its lane. Let the mundane mind take care of the mundane things. It's perfect. It's noble. There's no problem. Mundane here is not a pejorative or a downer. But when you take the mundane mind and have it co-opt true reality, then, well, we set our own house on fire and call it warmth. Half true at best. Now, there has been an inconceivable transformation. Inconceivable because the logical, linear, analytical aspect of the mind system is literally incapable of thinking its way through into true Buddha mind. Okay? Your logical mind can't be logical enough to encapsulate all of human creativity. It's simply a different plane of existence. It's a different realm of endeavor. You can say some logical things about the creative process, but leave the poet alone, please. Trust the poet. Allow her to do her own work, and also trust the logician to do that work. These are all aspects of yourself. taxes are due on April 15th. That is its own lane. How am I going to deal with this crazy situation? That's a different lane. Who am I? Oh, this is a different one again. Ultimately, no difference. But in practical reality, you need to see them carefully, very cleanly. So this inconceivable, this unlogical, this transformation that will not submit to mere ideation and thinking, nor, by the way, will it submit to just pure spontaneous creativity. That doesn't reach it either. This inconceivable transformation by which the false imagination of their particularized individual personality, ego, small mind, self-sense, has been transcended by a realization of their oneness with the universal mind of Tathagatahood. In other words, that partial sense that we all have of ourselves as a discrete unit, right? Encompassed roughly by the perimeter of this bag of skin, is partial, and it's realized as partial. The whole true human body is completely vast and boundless. You are vast and boundless. Of course, this skin bag is going to come and go. Don't be fooled about that. But the true you is beyond yin or yang, beyond praise and blame and doing it right and screwing it up. Let your encounter with the world of yes and no come from the universal mind. This is a very different reality than your responses to the world of yes and no and praise and blame and up and down and win and loss coming from ego mind, self-preservation mind. Because of this inconceivable transformation and realization, Tathagata Buddha nature is realized directly by prajna. In English, it means your true self is realized only by true wisdom. You can't think your way through to it. And I don't care how many poems you write about it. First, realize it. And then we can think about it just fine. And then poems are great. But there's no other place to do this work than that zafu that you're sitting on right now. That is the noble seat of practice. And it's noble because you are noble. And what is realized is your nobility and your dignity. Yes, even you. But not especially you. So this inconceivable transformation by which the false imaginings, which is what the samsaric mind is, it just imagines falsely, suffering the terrors of this dream that is of pure fiction. Well, that tiger's chasing me. The tiger doesn't like me. Look, the village closed the gate. They won't let me in. Let me in, you stupid villagers. Oh my God, run, the tiger, run. You know, on and on. Whole time it's a light show in your brain. What's true? What's not true about that dream? And by the way, it doesn't mean you stop dreaming. You transcend the dream and you include it. Then you liberate it. And you're free to turn around and look at that tiger and grab its whiskers and go, boo. Give it roller skates. Okay. By which the false imagination of their particularized, individualized, individual, self-concerned personality has been transcended by a deep realization of your oneness with universal mind. The mind of God, if you will, if you like those words. If that word gives you hives, reject it. But there's something larger which you are, the failure of which to acknowledge leaves your life impoverished in a way that it need not be. You have an option. You have an ability. There's a choice you could make. There are practices you can do that will actually bring your truer self up to the fore, or unless you don't want to. And then you can keep chasing the light show as the days and weeks and months and seasons and years and decades and lifetimes, perhaps, churn from one to the next. Sometimes a little win, sometimes a little loss, sometimes a big win, sometimes a big loss. Always just enough carrot and stick to keep you on that stupid wheel, running to and away from whatever it happens to be in the moment that seems compelling or terrifying. Please, dear one, wake up. Wake up. Time is running short. Do not abandon the essence for the trivial. Do not trade your full free human life for countless hours of mild amusement. It's a bad trade. And the world needs you, the real you, the real true you that no one else can manifest. Here we have the enlightened, particular, unique you. I'd love to see. I love seeing. Don't compete with others. They have that gig covered. You realize you contribute that fearlessly, even if it scares the hell out of you. The great ones always are thus. Nothing less will do. And you can't judge it by how it appears. You may manifest as an anonymous janitor, as an unsung bus driver, as a CEO of a world-famous company. It can show up anyway, but it'll be you, and it'll be real, and it's exactly right. Now, this realization of oneness with universal mind significantly here, the sutra points out that this occurs at this stage with no regression. And this is very important to point out, okay? Yes, there are actually stages of development. No, not everyone's opinion is worth the same. It's not. If I have a toothache, Aunt Ethel's opinion is not as relevant as my dentist. True. If I have a deep psychological condition, someone with great training and clinical experience has more weight than someone who just watched a few videos on YouTube. If you wish to have a building that stands tall, get some folks who know what they're doing. This is self-evident, hopefully. And so too, here it is. There are places where you will have, a practitioner can have, in moments, actual contact with this true universal mind, the true Buddha mind. And yet, don't become complacent there. There's a great deal of relief. There's a great deal of inspiration. There's a great deal of heart up in the throat, let us say. What hair you have standing on end. These moments occur. They're fleeting. They come, they go. But until a certain level of depth, you can lose touch with that experience, right? You can forget how much you love this person. You can lose touch with it. You can forget how much you love yourself. Why? Because again, we give sway to the small mind. The mind of winning and losing, of yes and no, of comparing and contrasting and doing it right, and screwing it up, and on and on and on. And that's why it's very important when you get some insight and you get some experience in the Dharma, don't stop training. Don't stop, okay? you're not done yet. There's a great, I forget where this is. Maybe it's in the Gateless Gate somewhere. I can't recall. Maybe Roshii will remember. But there's a teaching that says, when you have that first Kensho, you feel like you just, slayed the massive dragon, or you're the big hero, or you've made this major accomplishment. You've tackled the beast of all things. And what's true is you've gotten a hold of a mouse's tail. You've got a little bit of something going on, but there's more to it. And you have to be very, very careful, because there are a lot of people in the spiritual marketplace that get maybe they get a mouse worth, and then they make a brand and they make a product and they want to sell it, and then their rent becomes dependent on this, and then suddenly the incentives are a little bit challenging, and it can become very difficult. So there are many cul-de-sacs along the way that you can easily not get stuck in if you just get a teacher and train. Solved. And by the way, as long as we're on the topic, make sure that whatever teacher you find is the real deal. There are many people that may have some experience somewhat more or less deeper than your own, but that's not nearly good enough. There's a completely separate skill from having your own insight and experience and then seeing that all the way through. And that's separate again from being able to be of use to anyone else in a direct way. They don't necessarily line up, okay? And you need, if you're going to study with somebody, you need somebody who's got both. If someone's very skillful as a communicator and an educator, but they have no experience, they'll talk nicely about something they don't know anything about experientially. And if they're very good at slinging words around, they won't even know that they don't know it, because they're good at the words. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not sufficient. Happily, in Zen, we have very clear ways of testing. They're called koan. And a koan will not play nicely with that kind of a person. In fact, this is kind of sad. There are some times, I'll mention no names, but there are times when a spiritual teacher of some worldly note will get the idea that they want to come and get the approval of Zen as well, add it to their chest of accolades. And I've seen it. I've been on retreat with my teacher, Rinsen Roshii. He's quite well known in this world of training. And somebody will blow in to session expecting that they're going to be recognized as the great incarnate of this one or that one, and they're not. In fact, they're so thoroughly stuck, and now they have a choice to make. And it's very difficult for such a person to make the right choice. Why? Because their identity in the world depends on their being a spiritual expert. It's kind of parallel in a way. This isn't an exact parallel, but there are certain fundamentalist Christian preachers that actually realize that they don't believe any of this in that way anymore. But all of their family, all of their friends, their job, their house, their car, the school their kids go to, everything depends on this propping up of this story. I've had several conversations with people like that, and my heart really goes out, and that's a really tough place to be in. Although the right thing to do is quite clear, isn't it? Anyway, last, with this realization, with this finally getting to the point where the depth of your understanding will no longer recede from you. This is a great consolation to know that there's a certain place in training where you got it, baby, and it's not going anywhere. That happens. So they realize that they are endowed. Here come the goodies. What are the goodies? The Tathagata's Buddha powers. Here we are. Let's hear the powers. I want the powers. Psychic faculties. Oh, Oh, God. No, I don't want that one anymore. Self-mastery. I'll take that one, perhaps. The Tathagata's powers. Now, this is an interesting area. This is a little bit of Buddhist esotericism here, right? A little Buddhist family business. What are the miraculous powers of the truly awakened one, right? Consider the most recent Marvel movie you've seen. Any powers there? Do you get an iron suit you can fly around in with an AI servant? Do you turn green and smash things? What powers does the Bodhisattva, does the Buddha get? Perhaps a lightsaber. Perhaps a wand. What do I get? Well, let's see. The Avatamsaka spells it out quite clearly. This is another sutra very important and dear in the tradition called the Avatamsaka Sutra. First, miraculous power of the all-awakened Buddha mind. They know what is the case and what is not the case. Mic drop. You actually know what is and isn't the case. Now that's a superpower none of the Marvel folks seem to have. I don't think Master Yoda quite knew what the case was. But an awakened one does. You know what is the case and what's not the case. What's the next power? They know the karmic unfoldings in the three times. Whoa, the three times. Past, present, and future. Karma, cause and effect. They know cause and effect. They know what is the case and what's not the case, and they understand cause and effect. Back then, this went down. Right now, this is going on, and this is what's going to happen. That's a superpower. How many times have you not been in touch with what is and isn't the real case, and not really connected with the karmic implications of what you're about to do? Oh, you did it. Oh, God. Can I see a hand? Is anyone? Oh, there it is, yes. Maybe that's better than moving things with the Force, maybe. The third power, they know all the jhanas, samadhis, and the liberations. This is to say that they know deeply the inner landscape of mind, the inner landscape of spiritual depth and practice. There is a topography to the journey. It really is not pure chaos and randomness. No, it is not. Seasons follow one from the next. A plant goes from seed to shoot to tree. The spiritual progress, the spiritual development is quite clear. Infancy, toddlerhood, adolescence, and so on. So they know all the states, all the stages, all the illnesses and all the cures to apply to them, the spiritual illnesses. Things like greed, hatred, and delusion. 4, they know the quality of an individual's sense faculties. They can sense what you can sense. Perhaps better than you can, at least in certain aspects. There have definitely been times when my teacher can see right through me and I cannot. Lived it, long time. Not esoteric, otherworldly gobbledygook. Practical fact of the matter. Like a parent can look at the resistant toddler and knows exactly what's going on. Kind of like that. And loves the toddler and gives the toddler all the room in the world to go through their process. But they will go through their process. 5, they know the variety of sentient beings' understandings. A sentient being is simply the term for any being that has sense faculties and therefore can suffer. As far as we know, a big rock doesn't mind being a rock, doesn't ponder the futility of its life in light of its inevitable erosion or anything like that. It's simply there as a rock. We don't think there's anything like that it is to be like a rock. We could be wrong. But to be a person, oh yeah. Now there's senses that happen. Senses occur. Pain, pleasure, neutrality. Okay, now the light show's running. Okay. So any sentient being's understanding is they can know it. They know the variety of sentient beings' realms. Look, the truth is, you can be sitting at the dinner table with your family, let's say, at some Hallmark holiday, whatever it is, and literally the table you're sitting at is not the table that they're sitting at. The conversation they're having is not the conversation you're having. Neither is the conversation they're having the same one with each other. Sentient beings, what they see is different, okay? And they unconsciously project that everyone is seeing things the same way they are. No one is. Hello? Right? So the Buddha, an awakened person, this is not some otherworldly celestial entity. This is you, again, that we're talking about. You have the capacity to actually understand the different realms that different beings are living in. Why are these the powers? Where's the one where you get all the gold or the fast cars or something? Where's the fame? Where's the fame power? I want that one. Well, no, they're not here. All of these powers have one objective: to be of use to the world, to help alleviate suffering for yourself and others. That's what it's about. It's not about being the wealthiest person on the planet. It's not about being the one who at whim shapes geopolitical order just to see if you can. That's mundane compared. That's a big scale trivial. Big consequences, but compared to the bodhisattva work, doesn't even measure. They know where all paths lead, and it's not to Rome. If you keep doing that, I know exactly where that's going to take you. Do you? If that's where you wish to go, I bow to it and to you. You are the master. It is up to you. But do you actually know where that is going to take you? I've received these guidances and words from my teacher when I desperately needed to hear them. Now, this is important. An awakened being knows the unobstructed functioning of the Dharma eye. The unobstructed functioning of the Dharma eye. The Dharma eye is the term we use to describe that prajna wisdom that sees into true reality of the self. And such a being knows what that is when that's really functioning, full contact. Everybody has a Dharma eye. Some people it's more or less closed. Some people it flickers on and off. At this level, it's open and it sees all. And it functions. This Dharma eye is not some passive, weird lurker in a creepy way. No, this Dharma eye is actively engaged in the activities of Bodhi mind, of alleviating suffering for all beings. That's what the Dharma eye is about, seeing truly into the nature of reality, not just for its own sake, but for the alleviation of suffering, for the bringing of love and joy into the world and freedom. They know past lives without error. It's an interesting one. And let's be clear about this. It doesn't mean that you look at somebody and it's like the Avatar series where you see all the statues behind of all the different incarnations. That's kind of cute. I like it, But that's kind of a story, What's more the case is that you have a sense of past causes and conditions that have given rise to this. You see, you've already lived multiple lives since I've started rambling on here. Just in the space of the last 20 minutes or whatever, you've been many, many different incarnations already. Interested, bored, curious, offended, on and on. All the different versions of the self rise and fade. Oh, this is so cool. Oh God, this is terrible. You've been in many realms. I see all. So, past lives. Right? And finally, and this is a great one, they know how to end bad habits forever. A little something for yourself. Why don't you keep something for yourself? You know? And you know, that's a quality that needs to be demonstrated. I mean, if a supposed enlightened, awakened teacher has a horrible time navigating daily life, something's not connected here, okay? They may have some prodigy-like insight to some aspect of reality or something, but if they can't navigate lunch without hurting themselves, if they can't make it through a day without being ethically completely aligned, if they don't know the joy of waking up in the morning, having done nothing the prior day that you regret, then they're not really doing it, are they? Like, morality matters, folks. Right livelihood, right behavior, right speech, noble friendship, in engaging in a way that actually expresses your true hope and ideals for yourself. This is critical. There are certain spiritual teachers, again, I won't name them here, but they have some capacity. Maybe they're flashy. Maybe they can do good stuff in a certain way, but they're just, you know, it's like Charlie Parker. You guys know who Charlie Parker was? Charlie Parker, you should know Charlie Parker. You really ought to. He's an amazing musician, pivotal, took jazz music. Sorry, I digress, but it's inevitable. We'll get to jazz somehow. But he took it from swing, and he created this thing called bebop with some friends, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk. It's a crew, right? But unfortunately, Charlie Parker had this horrible heroin habit. It dragged him around. People who knew him closely said it was like he was just chained to the back of a bus. And if the bus was going slow enough, he was okay enough. But when that bus started tearing it up, it tore him up. Until he got on stage. Yeah, he could do all this crazy stuff on the horn. As much as I appreciate that, I would trade it for him to have a full and free human life. Best, both. So just because someone can play a good tune, or they've got a good rap, or they seem to have some kind of mojo, watch out. Make sure this is a fully cooked, real deal practitioner that has gone through actual training that is replicable for you. Okay? Does it make sense? It's very important. It was a very wounding thing for me that in my spiritual tradition of my natal tradition of Roman Catholicism, there are these incredible mystics, and no one knows how the hell to do that. Saint so-and-so and Saint so-and-so were great, brilliant lights of the unitive way. Well, how do you do it? You don't. You burn a votive to them, and you sit down and shut up. That's what you do. That doesn't taste like the truth to me. I hope it doesn't to you either. The truth of your sainthood, if you like that word, is as close to you as the taste of your own tongue. It's right there, honey. Just don't be afraid of it. And do the training. Finally, In the same way that the earth is at the support of all beings that live upon it, whether you're an ant or a sparrow, a gorilla, a Homo sapien, a rhino, whatever. The earth supports all of us, the trees. In the same way, when you realize yourself, then the Tathagatas themselves become your support in exactly this way. This reliance upon the support of the Buddhas. This is very real. And it doesn't show up in some silly children's book kind of way. Realizing it, however, is your job, is your business. Please, take it up. Thank you for your practice, everybody.
Thank you.